I guess the other really important thing for using the practice for self-healing is to be questioning yourself through this time that you've put aside this morning. Are you showing up? Like, how much of you is consciously present as we navigate through this time we've put aside, right? If you notice that, well, I invite you to notice when you've gone off into the rest of your day. Notice when you're in the past. Keep coming into the present. Keep returning, inviting yourself to come into the present. We need to consciously show up from moment to moment to moment to moment, okay? All right, so I'm standing in bamboo in the wind. Hopefully you are as well. So bamboo in the wind is just feet closer together. We're going to just move around a little bit, maybe become a little bit more comfortable. We don't want anything tight or jammed up. We're going to open our palms and we're going to lengthen our fingers as well as lift up the crown of the head. Close down your eyes and just take 3 really luxurious long breaths and breathe each of those out of your mouth. After you've taken that 3 or maybe more breaths, look down at your feet and step your feet out to the wider basic stance, basic Qigong stance. Wiggle around a little bit here as well. And we want the feet to be as straight, as parallel as possible. And we're going to sink and soften. So your knee joints will bend. You're going to draw your arms just a little bit out away from your side so your underarms should feel more spacious. Give some focus to your fingers and hands again, and then just let your tailbone kind of, imagine it just dropping down. Just dropping down. You're not tucking it or doing really anything too specific, just dropping. Also, like you're dropping everything that you're carrying as well. You're becoming more heavy, more soft. Notice your chest for just a moment. I want you to broaden just very subtly across your chest. Those of you doing the microcosmic orbit practices with me, you'll understand probably more deeply what I'm talking about when we say we want to open the chimney. And then from here, let's open the practice, even though we've really started already. Let's gather ourselves to ourselves 3 times. So 3 circular motions, up, over, and down, with the intention of calling all of yourself back to you. Okay, nice and slow, we're not in a hurry. With the intention perhaps of healing. One of my teachers, he always talks about having, a healing intention. He says, for medical Qigong to be effective, which is essentially what you're going to be doing, you need to know what it is that you're working on. You need to have some kind of maybe a challenge that you're working with. So if there's something for you, bring it into your awareness. After the 3 opening repetitions, a very simple practice of spinal cord curls. Elbows and wrists come together, the fingers fold down into the hands. We're going to tuck elbows to belly, chin to chest, round the upper back. Then bring the arms up, peel yourself open, arms out to the sides, elbows at the height of the shoulders, right angles with the arms, looking up, and then sweeping the arms around and tucking in again. Bend the knees here, round the back, and then open again. Many of you will find this at least somewhat familiar. It's a variation on spinal cord breathing. Find a rhythm. And when you open and you draw your gaze up, really focus again on the chest, on the broadening of your chest. As you come and tuck yourself down, chin to chest, focus on the back of your body. Put all of your focus, attention, awareness, consciousness with these 2 areas, as well as your breath. It doesn't matter how you breathe, just find a nice rhythm. As you do a few more of these, see if you can find just a smoothness with the motion, with the movement. Nice and smooth and steady. We'll do a couple more. One more time, you'll open, gaze up, arms out to the sides. You'll curl around and tuck down. Once you're in the tucked position, you can release your fists, release your arms, uncurl your body, step 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. It doesn't matter which one. Rock forward and rock back and make sure the distance between your feet's okay. We're not going to be lifting up the feet with this one. But for some of you, it'll be nice and familiar. We're going to windmill the arms. So lean forward into the front leg. The arm on that side will draw a circle. As it's halfway through, you'll lean back and you'll circle with the other arm. You'll wait until that second arm has finished. You'll lean forward again. You're just looking straight ahead. As you move, your arms are really nice and extended. Your fingers are extended. Your palms are open. Take your time. We're not in a hurry. We're not rushing. Come back to noticing your breath. See if you can deepen and, I guess, lengthen your breath. One more for this side. Once the back arm comes down by your side, you just draw the front leg right back, and maybe you'll take the other side forward a little bit, and you'll just find the split stance. This is what we refer to as a square split stance. And then you'll begin exactly the same form on the other side. Take your time to get going. And rather than leaning your torso, although your torso will move, think of this as bending your front knee to really be able to shift your weight forward. You know, the leaning of the torso is kind of more incidental. Keep going for a few more. Keep noticing everything that you're doing with your physical vessel. It's really important that your awareness and your consciousness remain in the moment. We don't want to go wandering off into autopilot where we're thinking about other things, or not for too long anyway. Because what will generally happen in this form, as an example, is the fingers will start to curl up. We don't want that to happen. Do one more. We want the fingers to remain lengthened. This helps to draw chi through the body, particularly into the arms and back into the torso. Let's come back to our basic stance. Soften and sink, close your eyes, feel. And already, I'm sure there's some transformation that's happening inside of you. Just notice what's happening. Take a few breaths. It might be very subtle. If you're newer to Qigong, sometimes it can take quite a while to really be able to sense chi. Let's get it going more though, because we do want, for a self-healing practice, the chi to be really moving freely. Let's come to a chi massage. Take your fingertips or even a light fist and start to tap, either lightly or a bit more vigorously. It's completely up to you. Horizontally across your chest. Take a few cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Remember, we're emptying ourselves. Tap up and down vertically as well. Just down to what we refer to as the central pallus, solar plexus region, and then right up towards the neck, collarbone, up and down, up and down, up and down. You're going to bring one arm out to the side and you're going to take your tapping down the inner aspect of your arm to your fingertips, turn the hand over and come up the outer part of the arm. I encourage you to be a bit more vigorous here. Come onto the shoulder region. Do the same thing again. After you've done one side, you'll tap across your chest, you'll extend the other arm and do exactly the same thing. The only exception to this vigorous approach would be if you're feeling quite depleted in yourself, just make it more light and soft. Before we continue our tapping, we're going to bring the arms out and flick the wrists. Have the palms up here. It's like you're flicking something off your fingers, maybe in an upside down position, but that's okay. Quite vigorous if you're able to. If you're depleted, a bit more softly. Take a couple more breaths. Turn your palms down and then do the same thing. It's more like you're flicking water now off your fingers or something sticky maybe. I'm making a loaf of bread today, so I've started my process this morning with the starter. Imagine flicking that stickiness off my fingers. From here, take your fingers to the back of your neck, but more so actually the top of your spine. Find your great vertebra, which is the large protruding vertebra at the top of your spine, and tap all around there. If you can, make it more vigorous. Onto the back of your neck, very deliberately, all over the back of your neck. Then the base of your skull, behind your ears and all around the base of the skull. Then all over the scalp, tap, tap, tap everywhere. You might need to be a little bit more gentle, depends on how it feels to you. We're going on to the face. Just give some attention to your hairline first, and then come down and, you know, I'm quite vigorous today, but as I said, if it feels like it needs to be more soft, then you'll do that. Apologies for any strange sounds from the microphone. I'll try not to tap it too much. All over the face. If you want to give your ears a little tug and a little rub, you can do that. Stretch them out a little bit. Notice how your ears are feeling. Take your chin up, look up and tilt, and then tap all around the jaw. Onto the neck, right down the midline of your body to your solar plexus again, central palace. Recommence your tapping. Up and down the sides, from the hips as close to the underarms as you can get. I've got an open palm. You could have a light fist. It's up to you. And then onto the door of life, the lower back, the kidney region, the buttocks. Who holds on to their stuff here? I can't be the only one. Tap all around. And then we're heading down our legs. Slap down all the way if you can, or as low as you can, and then up the inside. Deliberately tap the quad region, the leg gates, bend and straighten the knees, find a pulsing motion, again, if you can, quite vigorously. A few cleansing breaths. Back to the door of life, lower back, buttocks. Down the legs for the second time. Up the legs. Stay with the quad. You're going to slow down now. Slow right down, reduce the vigorousness, and then onto your belly, your abdomen. Doesn't matter how the pattern moves, but just softly touching, rubbing, caressing even. You're going to move into soothing the earth organs. One hand down near the waist and down near the hip, rather. And we go across, we turn, look behind as we crisscross across the abdomen diagonally. You're drawing a diagonal line from the hip or even the qua region, right down low, up towards the top of the rib cage as you turn. Do one more crisscross, one for each hand. Come back to face forward. Radiate your arms out to the sides and up over your head. Push your feet down and lift your fingertips. Really expand and stretch yourself. We're headed to a forward fold, so palms to the top of the head, look forward. Feel down the body, so soothing touch. Rub your lower back. Rub anywhere around here that feels like it needs a little bit of a rub. And then rub down over the buttocks, over the hamstrings, the back of the knees. If you're heading halfway, then find a position halfway and just hang out. If you're going all the way down, rub your calves, rub your feet, ankles, toes, heels. And then leaning your weight towards the balls of your feet, whichever position you're in, and releasing the head, the neck, the arms. Take a few breaths. Whichever position you're in, bend your knees slightly more, and then slowly, as slowly as you can, in fact, unwind. Roll up vertebra by vertebra. Deliberately express your standing form. Soft, sinking, spacious, maybe a little smiling on the inside, inner smile. Before we go any further, what can you notice about your state of being right now? Where can you feel chi, aliveness? Is there anywhere that feels stagnant? I'm going to take the feet in to bamboo in the wind, closer together. We're going to lift the arms. We're going to bring them overhead, palms facing one another. Soften the knees and soften the arms into the shoulders, and then hinge forward just a little as you swing down and back up. Look straight ahead, down and back up. Down and back up. You're not bending very far forward at the waist at all, just a tiny little tilt. Down and back up. Find a little rhythm. Keep your arms really engaged and quite straight. You know, we don't usually lock any joints when we're practicing Qigong, so I wouldn't describe my elbows as being locked, but definitely there's very minor bend, minimal 1% bend in my elbows. All the fingers are straight, the palms are open. Just a couple more here. Next time your arms swing up, you're just going to radiate your arms out to the sides and down, and you're going to place the backs of your hands into your sacral region, right? Just the lower back. Let your elbows flop in. Take a full breath. Very, very, very slowly move your head. Move your head so that you're turning around to look to the side, and then turn your head as far as you can without turning your shoulders or your chest. Take a pause and then make your way back into the other side. Uber slow, uber slow. How does your neck feel this morning? It's probably one of the areas that many of us have some releasing to do. That's a fair assumption. Keep going. One more to each side. Come back to look directly forward. Take your arms and hands from behind your back and bring your hands in front of you and interlace all your fingers just loosely. Draw this up over your head with your palms up, your gaze is up. Interlace and lean. So from here, you're going to turn slightly so you can look at your underarm, and then you're going to look down the side of your leg to your heel. And then you're going to come back so that you're looking directly overhead, and you're going to take it over to the other side in the same way. Slow, smooth, deliberate, side to side. Can you see your heel on either side, or your heels? Doesn't matter too much if you can't see them, but that's where you're looking. One more time to the other side. Come back to look up overhead. Draw your palms and hands down. One is connected to the other. And then once you're in front, create a prayer position in front of your chest, palms together. You're going to do a little bit of a swimming dragon variation form this morning. And some of you who are in the microcosmic orbit practice, we did this the other day. We're going to start to just move the arms, first of all, across the chest in like a sort of a spiraling, or you might think of it like a swimming kind of motion. I want your fingers to guide you. So you're going to tilt your fingers so that they can guide you from side to side. Just start off really subtle and slow, not really doing very much here. Feeling your palms touching, feeling your finger pads touching. And then as we get going, let's bring more into this. So what we're going to do is look away from the hands. So we're turning the head, looking away from the hands, from side to side. And then I want you to feel and notice your hips. And I want you to start to move your hips away from your hands, just subtle. So your head and your hips are going in the opposite direction to your hands. Notice how this feels. Notice if you're tightening your glutes or your buttocks. Notice if you're tightening the muscles of the thighs. And see if you can just let go a little bit, right, if that's happening. Come back to center. Let's do the whole thing from the beginning. We're going to point forward with the arms. We'll choose a side. It doesn't matter which one. We'll draw the arms around and in close to the body, and we'll just start that exact motion where we're just practicing. And then you're going to, while you do this side to side motion, you're going to move your arms down lower and lower and lower until you get to your lower dantian, your abdomen. You're not going to rush though. You're going to take probably what feels like an extraordinarily long time to get there. Once you're there and you've maybe moved side to side a couple of times, you're just going to swim up. So you're just going to raise the arms as you continue to move in this same way. And you're going to notice how this feels to you. And for many people, when they do this for the first time, or even for many times, it can be uncomfortable. It can be confronting. It can be dense. Right? Notice how it feels to you. Keep going higher and higher and higher until you're up over your head. What do you think we're doing here? in a physical sense, in a muscular skeletal sense. What are we doing? Once you're over your head, come into fully upright where you're lifting your fingertips, your palms are still together above your head, and you're going to lift up onto the balls of your feet or just lift up your heels a little bit. Then turn your palms outwardly and radiate your arms down. And when you come past your shoulders, you'll slowly let your heels come back down to the earth. And then you'll draw your hands around to the prayer position again, and you'll point forward. And this time you'll sweep out to the opposite side, if you can remember which way you went to begin with. Doesn't matter too much. And you're going to do that whole thing again. And if it is uncomfortable, and if you're like, I don't like this, I want you to just really feel the feeling of that. And the same goes for the opposite. If you think this is wonderful, I really like this, just be with that. Down. No rushing. Once you're ready to move up again, just check into anywhere that you're holding on. Anywhere that you can loosen. Make your way up above your head slowly. Go from side to side above your head. One more time. And then again, you'll align so you're pointing directly up. Your whole body is nice and tall and straight. And you'll lift your heels. You'll peel open your arms. You'll radiate down. And you'll let your heels again find the earth. From here, we'll radiate directly out and up again. This time we'll let our gaze come up. We'll reach the fingertips as high as possible. Push the feet down. What's happening inside you right now? Then head to neutral, hands to the top of your head. Feel down. You're going into a forward fold. It's going to feel a lot different because your feet are close together. First of all, you're going to rub your lower back or tap it if you want to. Knock it. Then you're going to feel your buttocks. Give them a little rub or a little tap. You're going to bend your knees quite deeply here. And you're going to feel the back of the hamstrings or feel the hamstrings up and down the back of the thighs. Massage the back of your knees. If you're not bending all the way forward, then this will be your cue to hold your elbows and release your head. If you're coming all the way down, up and down the middle of the calves. This is another region we can have a lot of tension. Just feel into the calves here. If you're coming right down, touch just softly over your feet and your toes, your ankles and your heels. And then my favorite thing to do here is just to put my fingers out in front of me, to spread all my fingers, touch down with the fingertips, bring the weight a little bit forward. If you want to hold your elbows or something like that, feel free, right? But release your head. Take 3 breaths. Make sure your weight is more neutral and then bend your knees some more and unwind yourself. Slowly, slower than before. Once you're upright, back to basic standing form. So feet back out, shoulder width approximately apart, straight parallel feet. Soften and sink. Close your eyes. Breathe. Feel what's happening inside of you. We need to be conscious of what's going on. We need to be conscious of the movements, the internal subtle movements, if we want to use Qigong, any of our forms of Qigong, to help us to heal ourselves. If you're not aware of where it might be stuck, stagnant, bound, heavy, then how can we work to free it up? When you're feeling ready, you're just going to cross your arms over in front of your chest. They're not touching one another and you're not touching your body, but you will notice here which hand is on the inside. Every time we come to this position, we'll be alternating which hand is on the inside. Whatever hand that is, that arm, it's moving down, the palms turn over, we move down and we turn our head to look down as the other arm comes up. Then we come back to face forward, we soften the body, we recross over in the opposite position, turn the palms, spread the arms, turn and look to the other arm on the other side that's coming down. You're forming a diagonal line with your arms. And slowly, very slowly, you're alternating from side to side. When you turn your palms and you open your arms, your palms are facing more behind you. And then hopefully by now, you've kind of got the hang of it. It's quite simple, but we want it to be smooth. So sometimes when I work with people, and this is one of the forms we might be working on, it's very rigid. I see their expression be quite rigid and sort of stagnated. So see if you can work on smoothness, smoothness. There's just a tiny moment. It's not even, I like to say, like sort of think of it like it's not even a moment of pause. There's 2 points of distinction is usually the terms that I use, the term I use, points of distinction. When we open and then when we return. We're going to keep going for just a little bit longer here. And I want you to notice your hips and just see what they're doing as you express this. And what you want to guide them to is to face forward so that the twisting that's happening is coming from more from your waist and definitely more from your chest and your shoulders. One more on each side. Savoring nice and slow. You've come back to the crossed over position. Uncross, bring your hands down towards your dantian. Have the back of the hands really nice and close, but not touching. Elbows are out to the sides. We're moving into the fountain now. The fountain, many of you will be very familiar with, I'm sure. It's kind of like one of the core, most popular yin or water forms for Qigong. And we just draw the back of the hands up to the chest and then we spiral them out. We kind of flourish the hands out, or I'm trying to think of the word that I usually use. It's not coming into my mind, but I'm sure you can all see what I'm doing. It's just small, right? It's not big. You're not coming up past your throat with your hands. And what you probably can't see, but many of you will know what I'm doing, is the undulating motion that's beginning to happen through my whole body. So if you have a look at this little side view I'm giving you, you'll see how my knees are bending, my torso's leaning forward, and then there's this rolling motion that's coming through my spine. It might be difficult to express all of this if you're maybe more new to Qigong or, for various reasons, could be more difficult. But just see if you can find a rhythm for yourself. Again, smooth, right? Smooth. Notice your chin, and you're going to keep your chin neutral, so it's not going to collapse down so that you're blocking off the region of your throat. Your chest is going to stay nice and open, spacious. It's like your whole body is just moving in unison, moving coherently to support this form. When you get distracted, when you realize that your awareness is wandered, it is your task just to be gentle with yourself and to just remind yourself that we're consciously showing up for this practice moment to moment to moment. Every repetition we're aware of. We're aware of every little signal, whisper or yelling that our body might be communicating. One more repetition. After the arms come out to the sides and down, you'll lift both of your arms up and down. Now you'll lift your left arm up and down. The right arm in the same way. Now you'll lift both arms out to the sides and turn to your left. You'll draw your gaze up and your arms come right up above your head. You'll turn to face forward and you'll draw the fingertips down to point at the crown. You'll turn your hands over and you'll flourish your arms out. I don't know why I keep using that word. You'll fan your arms out and down. Now you'll lift both your arms again. Now you'll lift your right arm. So I'm doing the same as you. Then the left arm. And then you'll turn and you'll lift both arms to the sides. You come up above your head, shoulder width apart. You'll turn to face forward. You'll bring your head to neutral as you draw your fingers to point at your crown. You'll turn your palms over and you'll move your arms out and down. Same thing again. Left arm begins. And then followed by the right arm. We move, turning to the left. Back to face forward, to the top of the head. Close but not touching. Just a little pause there. Then turn the palms up and radiate out and down. Last repetition, right arm begins. Turn to the right. Palms up, arms out and down. Now you'll draw both of your hands to cross over. Your fingers will guide you up. Above the head, you'll spiral the hands around. You'll spiral them out to the sides and down, head back to neutral. Cross over again, fingers guiding you up. Turn and spiral the hands, uncross, out and down. I'm going to do a couple more of these. Nice and slow. Just one more time. As your arms come down, you draw them in front of the dantian to let the palms touch, holding the pearl. Arms are not touching your body, but your hands are resting one on top of the other. Just close your eyes and take a few breaths. This next form comes from nurturing longevity Qigong, which some of you are familiar with. It's called blooming the Jade beauty. We're going to lift the hands really, really slowly up towards the central palace. And we'll turn the hands over and we'll just separate them so that they're not touching anymore, but they're close. Then we'll press down lightly and we'll radiate the arms to the sides. We'll have our palms behind here. As we come up, we'll rotate the arms around so that the palms are going to face inwardly as we draw the hands close but not touching down the front of the body. And then we're going to radiate around to the sides like we're gathering the qi, and we arrive in front of the dantian with the hands close but not touching. Then you're going to lean forward as you scoop almost with both arms around and in. You're going to do that 3 times. After you've done 3 of these to your lower dantian, you're actually going to continue, but you're scooping and gathering it to your middle dantian 3 times. And then you'll continue for 3 more. You let your hands come higher than your elbows as you bring the qi to the upper dantian, the upper center, 3 times. Once you've done the 3rd one, just pause there. You're not touching the hands, but they're close. You'll cross the wrists and lift. You'll look up. You'll spiral your hands around and your arms will come out and down. And you'll return to holding the pearl, literally touching softly the hands on one another, elbows out to the sides. Plant your hands over your lower dantian now. Hold lightly, or maybe with a bit more pressure, your lower center. Soften and sink your whole body. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Whichever hand is on top, super, super slowly, just lift it and allow it to land onto the heart space. Once it's been there for a moment, take the hand that's down on your abdomen and bring it up as well. Place it on top of the other hand. Now the hand that's on top of your heart, you're going to draw it up to your yin tang, third eye position, upper dantian. And then the hand that's on the heart will follow. And then you're going to go back down in that same way, one hand at a time. Really, really slow. All the way down to the lower dantian. This is the end of the Jade beauty. But just for this practice for this morning, we're going to add a little extra part onto it. We're going to separate the hands so they're no longer touching the body or each other. And we're just going to pulse. So what I mean by that is just lift your hands outwardly and then guide them in so that everything just stays a few inches apart. As you just sort of flap. That's a funny word for me to use. You flap in and out at your lower dantian. Imagine here your hands being magnets or just attractors, right? They're attracting the chi and connecting it with the inside of your body, like you're drawing all the chi to this area that you're working with, your lower dantian. Just a few more times. Next time the hands come close, just hold them there, hold them over your lower center. And this last part we'll do before we close, you get to choose what you're going to do in terms of where you're going to direct the chi. So if you have a particular area of your body that you're wanting to guide chi to for the purpose of healing it, in terms of you might want to dissipate an excess, or you might want to fill up a deficiency, right? If you have a niggling injury, or could be anything, right? But what you're going to do is reposition your hands exactly as they are over the area. I don't really have anywhere personally that I have this issue with right now. If anything, maybe my hip, right? I'm going to take my hands out to my left hip because I have a little bit of a weakness there. But maybe you've got a wound, maybe you've got a headache, right? Whatever it is, hopefully it's not in your hands that you're wanting to work with. But if it is, the chi's very concentrated in the hands right now. So just keep them at the dantian. If you're like me and you don't really have anything specific, you could just keep holding at the dantian, because ultimately we want this vessel to fill up, right? We want this field to fill up. Just take a couple more breaths. Wherever you're holding your hands, just release your arms by your sides now. We're going to close the chi gates, so 3 times, just as you began. Circling, gathering yourself. Nice and slow. Make these your slowest form expression. After the third one, step your feet together and just pop your hands over the lower dantian, so physically touching the abdomen. Take 3 full breaths. This next part is really important in terms of the effectiveness of your self-healing. We need to become still, right? So still and comfortable. You could remain standing. As many of you know, I like to take a seat. You could lay down. Whatever you want to do, you want to be comfortable and be able to be still for a few minutes, at least a few minutes. That's what we'll do together this morning. So get nice and comfortable. Just let your hands rest wherever they want to rest, wherever you're comfortable. And just soften your whole body and just be emptying yourself. If you need a technique or an anchor to help you here, just use your breath. Often I suggest as well, if your chi sensitivity is quite high, use the chi movement of your body as your anchor. Ideally, for a practice of self-healing like we're doing this morning, we want to remain in this emptiness or in this nothingness or this somethingness, whatever you like to refer to it as, for as long as possible. Right, so we've come to the end of our session, but I highly, highly recommend you just stay in this longer, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Stay in this state of being. This morning was just one of an endless amount of examples of possibilities of how you can use Qigong for self-healing. There is a technique, we're employing a technique, a strategy. There's many, many ways that we can do it. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you have a beautiful Sunday. Thanks so much. Bye for now.